When most of the world pictures Hinduism, they imagine a religion of deep meditation, vibrant festivals, and benevolent deities offering quiet blessings. But step away from the city centers and travel into India's dense forests, rugged mountain ranges, and isolated agricultural villages, and that serene image completely fractures. Out here, the divine doesn't wait inside grand marble architecture. These gods reside under sprawling ancient trees and patrol the very edges of human civilization. And their followers don't come bearing simple garlands of flowers. They arrive with offerings born from a brutal mix of absolute terror, raw devotion, and fresh blood. In these unforgiving environments, formal law enforcement and modern safety nets simply don't exist. To survive, rural communities have constructed a shadow pantheon of terrifying guardians, deities who demand extreme, visceral rituals in exchange for their protection. To understand how these isolated villages endure, we must look at the currency they use to buy justice, rain, and another day of life. They pay in fear. Imagine standing on the pitch-black boundary of a remote village in Tamil Nadu. You are miles away from the nearest police station, and the night hides real, physical dangers alongside deep-seated spiritual anxieties. This perimeter belongs to Ayyanar. He is the ultimate nocturnal vigilante, a colossal guardian watching over the village border with wide eyes and a thick, intimidating mustache. His role as a protector is ruthlessly twofold. When human justice fails, he is the one who delivers brutal retribution. At the same time, his sheer presence acts as a physical barricade, stopping malevolent spirits and disease from crossing into the community. The villagers don't sing lullabies to Ayyanar. They don't approach him with the warmth of a child seeking comfort. They revere him entirely because they are terrified of him. Keeping this fierce protector appeased requires a strict, bloody transaction. Devotees regularly offer him goats and chickens, executing the sacrifice with the very same curved ceremonial sword the deity is said to wield. When you live in a landscape devoid of official protection, a gentle savior is practically useless. Your guardian only works if he is infinitely more terrifying than whatever is hiding in the dark. Journey hundreds of miles north to the rugged Sahyadri Mountains of Maharashtra, and the stakes escalate. Here, the local mythology centers around the need to obliterate an absolute world-ending evil. The answer to that absolute evil is Khandoba. According to local lore, this aggressive avatar of Lord Shiva violently beheaded a flesh-eating demon, leaving a legacy of raw, destructive power. Approaching Khandoba requires stepping into an intense physical arena. His devotees present him with offerings of animal meat, and thousands of worshippers completely submerge themselves in vibrant yellow turmeric powder to honor his radiant warrior energy. But the true depth of their devotion is measured in pain. To prove their absolute loyalty, many followers willingly subject themselves to severe self-flagellation, while others drive heavy metal rods completely through their torsos. As shocking as that sounds, it is actually a modern comparison human child. A deity forged in extreme violence cannot be bought with cheap praise. He demands the literal, physical sacrifice of his followers' pain to guarantee the community remains shielded from total ruin. Further south, the primary threat shifts from wandering spirits to the sky itself. For any rural community, the single most terrifying prospect is a severe drought that triggers a total collapse of their agriculture. To combat this severe threat, they turn to Draupadi. In the mainstream epics of the Mahabharata, she is heavily depicted as a victimized queen, but here, far from the grand palaces, her identity is entirely different. Rural traditions view the intense injustices she suffered as a powerful catalyst. That deep trauma transformed her into a towering, volatile entity, a glowing goddess radiating power from the shadows of the forest. Driven by a mixture of sheer awe and profound terror at her immense power, villagers work desperately to appease her. They perform elaborate rituals, pleading with her to assume the role of Mariamman, the fierce mother of storms. The transaction is desperate, but highly effective. In return for their absolute submission, she forces life-saving rain down onto their barren soil and actively wards off devastating village plagues, specifically smallpox. For a farming community constantly hovering on the brink of starvation, channeling that sheer divine feminine rage is their ultimate tool for ecological survival. Looking at these practices from the outside, it is incredibly easy to label the animal blood, the bodily pain, and the terrifying idols as backward or dark, but that misses the point entirely. This shadow pantheon is a direct, logical mirror of the unforgiving rural environment that birthed it. When your family's life is constantly threatened by sudden droughts, violent crop diseases, and a complete lack of formal support systems, a peaceful, meditating God is a useless God. Survival out here demands heavy artillery. You need a protector who is far more dangerous, far more unpredictable, and far more lethal than the natural elements waiting outside the village walls. These mysterious rural gods represent a profound, grassroots spirituality. They prove that in the harshest corners of the world, fear isn't a lack of faith. It is the most powerful, necessary, and deeply honest form of faith there is.